Hello everyone, my name is Adam and welcome back to pliplop. Alright, you saw the title, you know why you're here. We're back with more Choosing Beggars content, of course. Before we do jump in, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, it really helps out. Alright, let's get started. Okay, looks like a babysitting post. Let's talk babysitter rates. I pay hourly for date nights, small sessions, etc. However, for all day care, I usually offer a set amount. Is this not common practice? I had someone tell me today when I asked for all-day care, 8 to 4 p.m., that it would be $10 an hour, $80 a day for one kid, where I provide food and transportation. Seems steep to me. That's $400 for the whole week. This girl is 16 years old. I'm honestly asking because I do not feel I was in the wrong, so I want to see if where everyone else stood of this and picked up some opinions from other mamas, TIA. All right, I'm actually a little curious about this one because it's obviously offering more than the usual babysitter posts that we see, but let's see what the comments say. One-on-one care should be more expensive than daycares, in my opinion. Baby gets dedicated time and attention, sometimes even in their own home. I wouldn't hire a 16-year-old in the first place, but my baby is young and I would want someone more experienced, maybe if I had another child. I charge anywhere from $25 to $30 a day, but that's only part-time kids. They get picked up by 2 to 2:30. I try to be reasonable just because daycare is pricey. I love helping people out when I can. So I charged anywhere from $10 to $15 an hour, depending on how many kids and what the age was. I cooked, cleaned up, my own transportation, picked up and dropped off for school functions, practice, birthday parties, etc. I also kept current CPR cert. This was also 5 years ago. I pay $10 an hour for one child or $15 for both. The sitter comes to my house. I could put one child in daycare. It would be cheaper weekly, but I like the idea of my children being in the comfort of their own home. I would pay no more than $100 per week for one kid, and that's with food supplied. I paid $10 a day for mine, but he only goes 3 hours a day, transportation provided at the babysitter's house, and food provided. You're hiring a single person, not a daycare setting, so this should be more expensive. Y'all wild. We pay our sitter $15 an hour, and she's with us 20 to 30 hours a week. I disagree with everyone here. $10 an hour is not good wage anywhere, but you don't even want to pay that for someone to literally take care of your child. She could make more than that working at Wendy's. Okay, so she's 16. Who cares? The job is worth what the job is worth, whether she's 16 or 35. Okay, some interesting stuff there. Seems to be some polarizing opinions. I don't really know who the standout choosing beggar was. Probably the one that said, I would pay no more than $100 a week for one kid. $10 a day, that seems a little low in my opinion, but I guess now we have a better context for future babysitting posts because these seem like more realistic prices than we're normally used to. Homeless beggar. This happened about 20 years ago to my aunt. She was going to get lunch and decided to get Subway. As she was walking in, she saw a homeless man that had a sign that said anything helps and decided that she would get him a sandwich, some chips, and a drink. She walked out and gave it to the man. He took it and looked in the bag. The man said, "What the heck is this?" My aunt, very confused, "A meal?" The man, "I wanted money." And then he threw the entire meal, including the drink, at my aunt, and he got up and walked away. Yeah, stories like this are always a bummer to read. I know we see a lot of them on the channel, but I'm hoping it's less common than we've seen because it really deters people from doing something like this because they don't want this to happen to them. So it really benefits no one, either side, in the long run. Okay, another Reddit post. Homeless guy, sign says broke, hungry, traveling, and ugly. I had drove by him a couple times in the last day and kept thinking to myself I would stop to help him. I did not have cash, but I had my lunch I hadn't eaten. Pure protein bar, Kirkland trail mix, Popcorners chips, organic fruit bar, Gardetto's mix, and a water all sealed in packages unopened. I rolled down my window and tried to give him the items. He looked at it, realized it wasn't money, and said, "Oh, no sugar for my diabetes." It was at that moment I realized he was a con artist, and sure enough, as the days went by, I continued to drive by the same place for about 8 months now. I'm fully aware of the 3 regular panhandles that wait at said light on rotation every week or two, different signs, same people. And then a comment on that post we just read. I was at a light rail stop downtown once and a homeless man approached me trembling his hand saying he had diabetes and his blood sugar was low, so could I give him some money for food? I, a type 1 diabetic, reached into my bag and gave him some of my emergency stash. 2 liquid glucose packs, a roll of glucose tablets, and a snack-sized pack of peanuts. The protein helps stretch the glucose longer so you don't just rise and crash. He looked at me and said, "I'd rather have some money." I said, "I'm a poor university student and I have no money, but this will help your blood sugar. He said, I don't really have diabetes. So I said, well, I do, so I'm keeping this for myself. Have a nice day. I still think about that sometimes. Okay, that one's actually kind of funny. I'm sure he probably abandoned that story and came up with something new that day. Or maybe not, who knows, because what are the odds? Oh boy, we kind of have a theme today, don't we? Homeless woman demands $5. I went to the library to just read and relax in the AC and then go, but as I walked out, a woman asked if I had $5 so she could get on a bus, and I looked in my bag and all I had was $2, but it was cash, so I gave it to her and I said, I'm sorry, it's all the cash I have. She said, thank you, so I walked to my car and got in it. As I'm putting my GPS to where I want to go, she comes over and starts banging on my window, and it scared the shit out of me, but I still asked her, can I help you, hun? And she is furious and starts yelling and slamming my window, saying, I asked you for $5, this isn't $5. And I just kept telling her how it was literally all the cash I have. So she starts to yell how I need to give her free rides all day now, since I had the audacity to give her less than $5. We went back and forth on, you're gonna drive me, to me being like, this is absolutely not gonna happen, until she says, I'm your elder, you're going to wait for me to get my stuff and you will drive me to blah blah street. So she finally took her hands off my car and I waited till she was like 10 feet away and I backed up my car and got the out of there. Sorry if this is kinda sorta isn't a choosing beggar. Edit, fix the dollar signs. Also, I no longer give money out. If they ask for anything, I'll give them these goodie bags that has lots of bags of chips, crackers, juice, and water. Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen stuff like this before. It's nothing new. And as I said earlier, it's truly unfortunate because it deters people from wanting to actually do stuff like this and help because they don't want to have a conflict like we just read. Oh good, another babysitting post. So I'm gonna need a sitter around 5 days a week, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Will not pay hourly. I think that's ridiculously too expensive. Will pay $20 a day. And in the comments, of course, I needed a good laugh today. Unfortunately, you would have to pay more. You cannot expect someone to take 30 hours a week of their time for less than minimum wage, especially if you expect them to drive to you. Well, with a post like this, at least we know all is right in the world of choosing beggars. I know we read the babysitting one at the beginning that was offering somewhat fair prices, and now we're back to massively undershooting what someone should be paid. In desperate, sort of desperate need. I ran out one night to grab to-go Chinese food from a local strip mall. The parking lot had horrible lighting, and as I was pulling in, I almost mowed a man down in my husband's F-150, who was frantically waving for me to stop. I rolled down my window, and he proceeded to explain that he was far away from home, had a bum car, no money, no gas, and that he and his grandson were starving. Could I possibly help them get something to eat? I said without hesitation, sure, let's run in here and get y'all some food. Pointing to the strip mall. In this strip mall, there was an Italian, Mexican, burger, and Chinese restaurant. He looks at me and says, nah, my grandson only eats McDonald's. I probably should have clarified that the reason I made a point to mention what I was driving in the bad lighting was that he practically ran out in front of me for flagging me down like it was emergency. It sort of scared me. Okay, well, that point aside, very, very common tactic of, yeah, not any of those places. I was kind of thinking this. Minimum donation $100. Just happened and I thought it belonged here. Having a beer at the bar of a beach resort in the Bahamas, that's alliteration for you, a middle-aged woman comes up to me and taps me on the shoulder. I turn around and she hands me a laminated card. My first thought is, wow, laminated, very nice. And then I read the text. My name is Cheyenne. I am deaf and looking for sponsors for a hearing aid. At this point, I'm buzzed enough that I feel like helping out, so I grab $20 US and try to hand it to her. She shakes her head and taps lower on the card. Further down, it states along the lines of, to avoid difficulties, I am only accepting donations starting at $100. I turn back and say, seriously? To which she nods, which makes me pretty skeptical she's deaf, so I say, okay, put the money back in my wallet and turn around. She taps me again and points at my wallet, nodding. I just tell her no, and she sighs and walks away. Bloody cheeky. Then we have some comments. Encountered the same sort of scam operation in Paris. At first, I thought the guy was collecting signatures to raise awareness for the deaf/blind. After signing, he points lower on the page with donation tiers. After refusing, he continues to follow us until who I can only assume is his supervisor yells at him to go to try the other group of tourists entering the plaza, which he immediately hears and responds to before walking away. Don't even think they were impaired at all, so scummy. That acting deaf tactic is just another way to beg for money. Then asking for a $100 minimum donation, that's pretty ballsy. In Paris, it's a pretty common grift to get someone to sign a petition for the deaf, blind orphans with no teeth or whatever. Then they point out the line on the page saying you committed to donate €20 and give you shit if you don't pony up. Huh, I've actually never seen this scam, so good to know. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there, so thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like or letting us know in the comment section down below. And as I said at the beginning, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It really, really helps out. Thanks again for sticking around, and we'll see you in the next one.